Welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Kaitou Sentai LupinRanger versus Keisatsu Sentai PatoRanger. I am Vashi V and I am joined with...
Decade.
The Little King.
And Rye.
And today we are talking about episode 16. Time flies. See, we open on the police station. The officers are investigating the destroyed safe found with the crane vehicle. So that would be the older Crash brothers who got squashed by Papa Kaiser. Jim explains that it's made of an unknown substance, that it's tough on the outside and weak on the inside. Thus, Nayo getting hurt when Lupin Yellow shot inside of it. Tsukasa wonders if the reason that the Ganglar explode could be something coming from inside the safe. That was an interesting thought. Jim wonders if the safe is their core, which is why they can be revived just from the remains of their safe. So what did you guys think of that?
This felt kind of meta, like them throwing out fan theories just in canon. But I enjoyed that. That was really cool. And, we've all done it on and off this show where we've talked about what could be going on in shows, what, theories are coming up. And if you've seen spoilers, which we will not be discussing now, you can add those in your equation. So to see this, in canon, it's really fun for me.
I do like that they're going through this trouble too. Like, what is a Ganglar? Why do they just explode when they're defeated? Instead of just the usual thing of they explode because they're defeated. Like, no, why though? And it does present, a pretty unique thought for this episode as well. I also do like that's consistent with that time Keiichiro shot the bike inside the safe of that one Ganglar.
Right, all in all, it's this is a nice touch for explanation of how the bad guys physiologically work. Usually, like I said, we usually just get they explode because they're dead. We've never gotten to, hey, here's why they explode. And the way they pointed out that it's because the explosions are basically happening inside the safe and working outward. But yeah, it's it's a nice little touch, and the fact that they they brought up the Crash brother.
Oh, here's something I just thought of. If the saves are the real body, then what does that say about the Ganglars with multiple?
Right, it opens up a whole different issue with defeating them.
Yeah, I wonder what that means for Destra.
Maybe you have to hit the correct safe.
Oh, one's a fake out?
I mean, that would be the only logical conclusion I have at this point.
But with Zamigo, both of his saves seemed legit, like he used them the same way. Unless that's just part of it.
Right. But yeah, it was a nice touch for them to give us more information on the Gangler beyond what we would normally get for a Sentai series of, hey, they're the bad guys, defeat them. I mean, that's basically all we really get, aside from, hey, this is what the bad guys want to do. It's we're getting... This series is starting to have a more in-depth feeling for just, in general, for all the characters.
It's a really good execution of having two teams as well. Time flies. Yeah, when I went to watch this episode, I was like, episode 16? We're already a third of the way through this show?
It's been a fun ride. But yeah, that is crazy to think about. So the thieves are grocery shopping when they hear a rampaging gangler. The police deploy as well. The thieves' Kaitou change, and we get the opening. Yeah, they just happen to be in the right place at the right time. When we come back, we get the episode title, number 16, Because We Are Comrades. The Ganglar blasts Umika and a pigeon and switches their bodies. Blue pretends not to believe him, so to prove him wrong, the Ganglar swaps them back. Definitely not one of the smartest Ganglar we've seen.
Like, that shouldn't have worked.
He Bugs Bunnied him!
Yeah, definitely. Blue rushes in to steal his collection piece, while the others hold him down. But the Ganglar tries to switch Toma with a pigeon. However, the beam is reflected back at him from some photography equipment, and the Ganglar switches bodies with Toma instead. The PatoRangers arrive and attack Toma in the Ganglar's body.
Sorry.
Bless you. The Ganglar considers swapping back to his original body, but flees instead. Obviously, he doesn't want to fight. Red and blue retreat. Red and yellow retreat with Ganglar Toma. Yeah, pretty crazy. What do you guys think?
An idiot monster always makes for good comedy, except when his power sucks. This power does not suck. I love body swap episodes. I don't know why, they're just entertaining to me. And monster body swaps are even better sometimes. This is one of those instances where they hit all three right on the nail. So kudos to them for making me laugh, because that was hilarious. And I love idiot monsters that don't have sucky abilities. And this dude is a freaking moron. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Everything about this was so well executed. From the Tuma like psyching him out to switch Umika back, to the cops showing up at the right time to think like, oh, Tuma's in danger, let's save him. And even the monster being smart enough to be like, wait, I shouldn't swap my body back right now. Probably the smartest thing he did in the entire episode.
This was very well executed. Like, because these type of episodes can get really dumb really fast. Because usually it's because the monster's a moron, which, I mean, this one kind of is, but this is one of those just in terms of the Lupin Rangers running into him is quite literally what the first time it's just been, oh shit, we've stumbled upon one. Usually they're hunting them down. They just happen to just be right nearby.
The closest other situation was when they were stalking one, and then Destra showed up to talk to him.
It's like this. Aside from the Elder Crash Brother, this one has the worst luck so far. But yeah, the fact that it threw the Pet Rangers for a loop too, thinking, oh shit, now they're working with the Gangler because they're protecting it. It's like, like I said earlier, it's like this. And Ride pointed out, it's like this is an exceptionally well executed episode. It's like, and I love everything about this, especially the, as King called it, the Bugs Bunny scene.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but in Rider we've also had some body swapping, and I think Toma's actor definitely pulled it off better than some of the actors in Rider.
Even
with the silly gang.
Even
Glass
the
voice.
voiceover is better in this show.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see. The Ganglar isn't fond of his new body, but changes his mind after becoming popular with girls. Of course. Kairi and Umika struggle to squeeze Toma into the cafe, this giant Ganglar body. They hide him under a tarp and pretend that he's a pile of garbage after Tsukasa sits on him. Uh, yeah, that was kind of a funny scene. The police leave because they say, "Oh, we're closed for today." Toma is unable to return their bodies despite being in the Ganglar body. Only the Ganglar can do it. Uh, yeah, thoughts.
Okay, the humor I'll forgive, but what the fuck kind of logic is that? They've done this sort of episode before, and they usually make it clear that it's the body that has the power, not the monster, like itself. So, what the hell kind of logic is that?
That's actually something that I was going to talk about. Like, we know that Ganglars have two powers. One that is an inherent ability, and one that comes from their collection piece. And this episode shows that the inherent ability sticks to them. Like, that is something they can do. It doesn't have to do with what body they're in. Unless this is a unique case to this specific Ganglar because he's kind of the exception to the rule. He can switch bodies.
Pretty much my only comment on this entire setup for right now was the fact that when they acted like he was garbage, all I could think of was, man, Jelishito would have been perfect for this role.
Oh no.
Okay,
No.
I have a bit more that I want to talk about with this scene though. With the pot rangers walking in, we went over that, right?
Yep.
And
Yes.
yeah, and
Yes.
Tsukasa swatting the mosquito. That scene is the worst part of this entire episode because that fake out gag, this is the worst method of that I've ever seen. Like, it could have easily been like, oh, she was looking at something that was like on the wall behind him. It could have even been like, oh, she was going to like go over to him and be like, what is this? And then they could have been like, oh, it's just trash. You're like, oh. It could have been so many things, but the whole like, oh, it was just a mosquito. It feels like the laziest execution of this.
Yeah, I would agree. It did feel pretty on the nose.
I,
But
I, I
then they were like, "Oh, it's garbage," and that kind of made up for it. But yeah, it was.
yeah, it's like they could have done that entirely different. That would have worked out better because through this entire episode, this is the worst spot of it. Like this is like the worst point in the entire episode. So everything else is just kind of amazing. Even with the Gangler going, "Hey, I'm popular now. Cool."
So the police find Toma, aka the Gangler, flirting with four girls and showering them with gifts. They kind of just walk away, disappointed, and Kaede confronts him. The Gangler refuses to swap bodies because he's popular for once in his life. Kaede hesitates to punch Toma's body. The Gangler kicks him, and Kaito changes. He considers robbing a bank now that he's a thief and takes off. Kaede is pissed. So back at Jurere, Umika takes the collection piece in Toma's safe. Kaede returns. He has a serious conversation with Toma, who is resolved to defeat the Gangler, even if it means losing his body. He gives Kaede his approval to complete the mission. Pretty intense. Thoughts?
Okay, so I wanted to touch on why Kyrie was pissed real quick, because I know it's kind of obvious, like, it's their reputation he's screwing up with this, but it's also Toma he's screwing with. Because, I mean, he's ruining his reputation. He's basically stealing his life by being in this body. And though he doesn't show it very often, well, none of them do really, but the point is, they all seriously care about each other. They know about their pasts, why they're doing what they do, why they act the way they do, all of that. So I think to see this just kind of screw him over even further, I can see why he'd be pissed off, because this is, well, they've been working together for a year now. This is essentially a surrogate father, oh, not father, brother that, he lost. So I can understand why he'd be angry at that, because he lost one brother, he ain't losing two.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of it as like Kairi seeing Tuma as another brother. That just adds even more to this episode. That is pretty good insight there. Um, Other than that, you pretty much said it all. Although, I do kind of like the PatoRanger's little side action here. Like, he faked sick for this. Let's go.
Yeah, King and Rai said everything that needed to be said for this scene.
Oh, there was something I wanted to bring up about last scene. Another thing that I forgot, because it's a minor detail. When the Power Rangers show up at Bistro Juror and Kairi goes, oh, didn't it say closed? Yes, the sign next to the door actually did say closed. Just a nice little detail.
Police gotta eat. That is interesting. So let's see. Kaidi fights the Ganglar as red and blue. It's a pretty fun fight. Kaidi hesitates once, but ultimately he defeats blue. He shoots Toma in the chest, but the Ganglar swaps bodies at the last second. The Ganglar, now in his original body, attacks Red and Umika, but Toma shoots him. Kaidi explains that they were bluffing, and of course we get a little flashback. He basically shot through his hand to soften the blow, and of course he didn't aim at Toma's vital. They Kaitou change, and we get an in-scene roll call. Pretty nice. When Red snaps, it's obviously very painful because he just got shot through the hand. The Ganglar is defeated. Gosh revives him and reveals his name. We actually don't get his name until this point in the episode. And his name is just Manta. He doesn't even get a cool Italian name. So, thoughts?
I mean, really? You wait until that point to give him a name and that? Ugh. Yeah, I guess that was kind of the point. Very, very clever on the thief side. Like, faking out that you're killing your teammate by shooting through your hand? Oh my god, I would... Ugh. That's hardcore. Very much kudos on their side for even attempting that, let alone doing it. But yeah, the fight itself was alright.
I thought the fight was pretty good, actually. I do like Kairi's initial hesitance, like the way he's like gripping the gun. Of course, on a rewatch, I was looking at that going, maybe he's just like uncertain if this is the right time to try and pull it off, kind of thing. Hard to tell, because a lot of things in this series can be interpretational.
Like this was excellent. Just the fake out in general, it also adds into the depth that they know their weapons very, very well, to know, for him to know putting his hand in front of it would muffle it enough to not kill him. Just makes me want to know how they found that information out.
Kyrie is
Um,
very much the gambling type.
which he is. I also did like to touch that when they did their strikeout move, that all three of the Reds had the wound on their hand. Nice little touch of consistency that could have easily not been in there for the other two, but that was a nice touch in my opinion. And it took me until they said his name to go, hey, he is a manta ray.
Oh, you didn't catch on to that?
No,
I caught
I
up.
didn't catch. I should have, because as soon as they said it, I was like, yeah, I should have known that from the start because he looks like a giant fucking manta ray with arms.
I caught on as soon as they were trying to push Tuma through the door.
I was like, it's again one of those things where I don't fully apparently pay attention to shit. Which you'd think I'd be really good at that considering the X8 podcasts. Um, but yeah, all in all, is like this was very very well done. Like even the little fight was for the episode that it was, which was more of a lighthearted episode until the whole shooting your friend in the chest thing. It was very very decent, and I did enjoy the live action roll call or the in scene roll call, and the fact that somebody else used the night power up.
Okay, so to those of you listening, you probably just heard a really weird audio clip. That was my fault. I clicked on a video and the audio was still on. Anyways, keep going.
I wonder what it was. So Lupin Kaiser deploys. Manta puts up a fight, but he's ultimately defeated by Lupin Kaiser Cyclone Knight. They had kind of a fun finisher. At the cafe, the officers scold Toma for pretending to be sick, play with girls. Of course, Kairi and Umika can't defend his actions, and neither can he. Episode end. Final thoughts?
Scene itself was alright, I guess. It was okay for comedic relief, and not every day we get to make Toma the joke. So, good on them for variety. All in all, I did enjoy this episode for what it was.
So I really enjoyed that when the Gangler does get grown big, the Power Rangers had no idea. And I didn't realize this is something that I wanted until I had it. Like, yeah, they knew there was a Gangler out there, but he stopped being active, so they can't find him. And then suddenly, wait, why? Oh, oh, that's where he was, or is, I guess. I hope that this series does a lot of parallel episodes. Like, okay, now the Lupin Rangers get their upgrade, and now the Pat Rangers get their upgrade, kind of thing. So I'm expecting to get like a similar situation next episode.
Well, there was something kind of similar last episode when they saw Pato Kaiser deploy with the crane and drill, and they're like, "What? When did they get those upgrades?"
Oh, that's
So, yeah,
right. They already did it.
That is a
Oh.
fun thing that they're playing with.
They already did it. So that's clever. Oh,
Yeah.
I do also like that. They've come on such familiar terms with each other that Power Rangers are comfortable like sitting Tuma down and having a talk with him about life choices.
That was fantastic. um, like Rice said, it's like I didn't realize how much I wanted all that of them just showing up and shit. The monster's already huge. Fuck. It it was a great moment. Like with the last episode, it was kind of okay because it worked out for the story with why they weren't there. Whereas in this case, the Pat Rangers just never found the monster until after Pat Kaiser deployed.
because hey, he wasn't being active anymore.
Um, it it was really really well done. Um, I wasn't expecting the night cyclone combination. I'm a little taken aback by that because I wasn't aware that that worked that way. Um, and then yeah, them being comfortable enough to sit Toma down and go, you really shouldn't lead girls on like that, and you shouldn't lie about it to get out of work.
What's even better is that that wasn't like an impromptu decision when he was there. Like Sakuya was ready to give up his seat. He knew what was going on.
Yeah, they flat out went there solely to reprimand him for that. It's like I think this is one of those things where like as close as they're getting outside of the fights and stuff like that is going to lead to a very very well executed, in hopefully anyways, reveal of them being the Lupin Rangers and adding to that whole conflict, because they've already pointed out kind of that they will kind of let them go so long as they're focused only on the ganglers, which because they kind of pointed out in this episode with the, oh, you're working with a gangler, oh wait, no they're not, okay, so it can lead to very very great things down the road.
Yeah, that is a moment we will not forget. But overall, yeah, this was a really good episode. A whole lot of attention to detail that just makes the show so much better than it already is. And I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, same. Like I said, I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what's next.
This has been great, and with how far we've come in the show, and the plot still having not actually developed that much, it makes me wonder if we're not going to like start getting words of the sixth member soon. And I know that official like teasers haven't been put out yet, just toy scan stuff. So without going into too much detail on what we actually know, here I have some predictions I want to talk about. If Ashley wants to say anything first, though.
Not just that this is a really good episode, and the fact that I kind of agree is like it seems like at least timeline wise this would be where we would start getting the slow introduction of the next member. It usually happens between episode 15 and 20.
And what I'm
But like you said, there haven't really been much full in-depth character development like there would be at this point.
Yeah, I'm expecting a go on wings kind of situation where he shows up, defeats a monster, and then neither team knows who he is. Like how we got this episode, the Power Rangers didn't know the monster was even being fought, but when he grew big, I'm expecting that kind of thing where like both teams are out looking for the Ganglar, and then maybe like the new guy is the one that steals the collection piece, and then suddenly huge Ganglar, and they're like, oh wait, what? And then new mech rolls in out of nowhere. I would love to see that.
I agree. It's like I would be okay with him showing up, and literally defeating the monster on the ground, just like rolling in, kicking it, like even if they're all fighting him at once, just rolling in, whooping his ass, and leaving. You know,
You also have your theory on who you think the new uh, person is going to be. And thinking about it, I highly agree with that theory. If Decade is okay with me saying that part.
Go for it.
Vashi?
I'll leave it to you.
Alright. Well, what if the sixth member is Commander Hilltop?
Deca Master.
Kind of.
Oh, that would be fun.
I mean, he
I
already
would
leads
not be
one
against
team,
that.
and some of us already suspect that he knows who the Lupin Rangers are. And the more I think about it, the more okay with it I would be.
Like the idea behind it works wonderfully too, because he already knows what he can manipulate enough of the information going to the police because he's freaking in charge of them. So at that point, it would be very easy for him to do the whole, oh, go off on your mission. Okay, I'm gonna go this way. It basically do the, for lack of a better term, like the meteor transformations at the beginning, where he would transform somewhere else and then show up.
That was a fun transformation.
It's like I can see, if with it being him, I could see it being executed very, very well. The only thing that they'd have to work on is him not saying English shit.
Hold me tight.
Oh, that was fucking great. But yeah, I mean that would be the biggest issue with him being that member would be the fact that he would speak, in theory, he would speak English words as well, which would be a dead giveaway. So they'd have to find a way to work on that. Maybe he's taking extra Japanese lessons.
Maybe he, like, when he's transformed, he only speaks English in the way that Bloodstark did, where he'd just be like, ciao.
But technically, that's Italian.
You get what I mean, though.
I do, and it would work too. That, and he'd have to have a voice filter, which you'd think the rest Lupin Rangers would have them.
No, voices don't matter in Sentai. Haven't you learned that by now? If you're wearing a mask,
Yeah,
nobody knows who you are.
Your voice suddenly sounds entirely different than what it actually sounds like.
Fucking Umika and Tsukasa were handcuffed to each other and Tsukasa couldn't figure it out.
And hey, they're getting a hyper battle soon.
Say what?
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
just them, no guys.
Nice.
So on that note, I think we should probably wrap this up.
Sounds like we've already said our final thoughts, though. Does anyone else have anything that they want to say?
Thanks for listening.
Adieu, and later, taters.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with Kamen Rider Build. I feel like that series should be closer to ending than it probably is. And next week for more Lupin Ranger vs. PatoRanger. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, Kato Gato.